Welcome back to another edition of Stuff You Don't Usually See. You know how this works, so I don't have to explain that to you, but I do need to tell you who my guest is today. First time on this particular segment, Marshall Wallace. Marshall is the division manager, I've got this written down, for streets, drainage, and landscape. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
What'd you do with irrigation? Does that fall under landscape?
Yes, you could always say irrigation as well, but it's kind of gets a little long when you start doing that.
And you do so much, and I've been here for a dozen years, and I guarantee you there are things that you do that I have no clue about. So I'm going to ask you all about that stuff. Is that okay?
That'll work.
All right. So you ready to do this for radio? Do it for real?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go. Well, thank you and good morning. My guest today is Marshall Wallace, who is the Streets, Drainage, and Landscape Division Manager for the City of College Station. Marshall, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing very well. Okay, you're one of these guys who does a ton of work and oversees a lot of crews and a big chunk of our operations, but you're sort of quietly getting it done. It just happens. Things are just functional. They just work. So first thing, I want you to tell me how long you've been with the city, and then we can start talking about the different aspects of the operation that you oversee.
I've been with the city for going on 32 years.
32?
Yes, sir.
Goodness. What's the finish line? Do you have a finish line identified?
You know, I tell everybody when I don't enjoy coming to work, that's when I'll wrap it up.
Holy smokes. The things you have seen and the changes you have seen.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so start telling me about some of the things that fall under your responsibility. What are some of the things that you oversee?
So I oversee the street sweepers. I oversee all of the road work, concrete work in town. I do all the drainage. So we do drainage repairs, drainage inspections, mowing, right-of-ways, finished mowing, irrigation. We take care of everything irrigated other than the parks.
Yeah.
In the city. Also do we plant trees, we replant trees. We, when things die, we ended up going out and replanting those on the landscape side. And just various other things that come up around town that get handed off to me. So,
what is the method to the madness? It's not that you're 100% reactionary and you're just putting out fires all over the place. I bet there's a fair amount of that. But how do you guys know what projects to tackle in what order? I mean, that's a lot of stuff you're dealing with.
Yeah, definitely. So we have we go out at least once a year and we do a grading of our streets. So we get PCI scores, basically pavement index scores. And when we do that, that kind of tells us where we're lacking in different parts of town. And, at that point, then that kind of gives us a rough idea of where we should be working. So right now we're working actually in this area behind City Hall. Our PCI scores were pretty low back here and off of Spring Loop area. So we're kind of focusing this year on reconstruction of a lot of these streets.
Question. Now, you don't necessarily allow streets to get in the worst condition before you tackle them. Is that right?
That's exactly. Well, that's what we try to do. So we try to do a variety. So most of our streets, we try to keep them at a 56. An 86. And so we try to do reactive and proactive. So reactive, we try to do what we're doing now. We go in, we do basically we go in and redo all the curb and gutters along the street, and then we come back in there and put a resurface on it. And those are kind of areas that kind of are in the 60-ish range. Mm-hmm. And then, anything that's over an 86, typically we can go in and just mill and do an overlay or, patch a little curb or do some, an ADA ramp here or there, do some stuff like that and bring those scores up.
All right. So that's streets. Talk about some of the other aspects of your operation.
Okay, so like I said, we do all the street sweeping. So we have 3 street sweepers that we run. They run every day somewhere in the city. We've broken the city up in our department into 17 different areas, districts, and those street sweepers are divided up within those. So when all 3 of them are running, we can pretty much cover the city in about 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Right now we're down people. We only have 2 of them running, so we're looking at probably 13 weeks.
top speed of a street sweeper and gas mileage?
Gas mileage is great because, they're just barely moving. But top speed is probably about 7 miles an hour. And there's 2 engines, so there's a truck engine and then an engine on the sweeper. So, they can run normally about 3 days on a tank of fuel.
What's the lifespan of a street sweeper?
We keep our street sweepers 5 years. Basically, the reason we do that is because of the hopper gets all rusted and corroded, and then we start having a lot of problems. So they're on a 5-year replacement plan.
You can tell I just got stuck on this item. What does a street sweeper tend to cost?
We're paying somewhere around $250,000.
Wow.
A street sweeper, but they do a lot of good for us. I mean, the overall, vision of the city, people, what they see when they come, we take pride in what we do as far as we try to make sure that our streets are clean. When you do that, there's no grass growing up. There's, so many different things that people see when they come to town, and one of them is to see how clean it is, and we do our best to try to make sure that that's taken care of.
And we see comments all the time in this office from people who are visiting, or, parents bring their kids to check out the university, and some of their comments that we see online are about how clean College Station is. So that's credit to your folks.
Yeah, we do a lot. Even when we do our right-of-way mowing, our finish mowing, the main focus for our guys is not only to mow the grass, but to pick up the trash.
Yeah.
So we'll get out prior to mowing, pick up as much litter as we can, and then, if we happen to mow over something, then we'll come back and clean it up as well.
Yeah. How about drainage? How challenging is that aspect?
When you've done it as much as I have, things are always challenging, but drainage is one of those that's kind of hit and miss. When it's really dry, we have everybody's really happy. When it's really wet, we have problems. But overall, we have a pretty good drainage system in our city. We haven't had a lot of problems. We rely a lot on our residents. So if somebody has a problem, the best thing to do is call us, and we'll come out, we'll do an inspection, we'll figure out what we need to do to help resolve the problem if it's something that falls within one of our easements. Otherwise, we go out, we check things on a regular basis before storms come in. We'll go check culverts, we'll go check bridges, we'll go check structures to make sure that they're not clogged up, so we don't have issues whenever we have a big rain event.
Yeah, about those culverts, I was going to ask you, are there things that we can do as homeowners or property owners that are sort of mitigating steps that will basically mean your crews don't have to come in and do something drastic afterwards?
Well, a big thing that we have is we end up cleaning a lot of brush out of culverts.
Right.
Where, one thing about College Station, we have so many different functions. Our solid waste guys come around weekly and clean up brush that you leave in front of your house. A lot of people will throw stuff over their fence into drainage ways, and then when it rains, it clogs things up.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is take that little bit of extra steps, drag it out front. We'll get it picked up one way or the other, but I'd much rather see us pick it up in the front than something happen and your house gets flooded because you or your neighbor threw something over and it got clogged up and caused major problems.
What are some things that you guys deal with in any of these areas, streets, drainage, irrigation, so forth, that people would be really surprised to hear about, whether it's a specific instance or just something that you are routinely called to take care of?
I don't know. I mean, I think everything that we do is really surprising to the citizens. We have our Citizens University. Yeah. And, we always have a lot of interesting people that come out, and they're always very surprised at what all we do and to look at all of our equipment and, stuff like that. So I think, daily there's things that come up that people don't really understand or don't realize that we do that. Public Works does so much in the city. I mean, from, again, like I said, our solid waste, our fleets there, that's where all of our trucks go and get maintained. What I do, our streets, our drainage, our landscaping, our facility maintenance, our, traffic lights, our signs, so Public Works has so much to do with the city. So just about everything that that you see Public Works in one way or another touches it.
Yeah. Talk about your crews and the kind of skill sets that they have. I mean, how talented are these people who work for you?
Right now we're shorthanded. We're 16 people down out of what we have. We normally have 43 people, so
wow.
we're 16 down. But our guys have skill sets from being able to drive a semi and haul equipment, to a dump truck, or to run a paver, or to drive a tractor, shredding. And a lot of people come in not with those skills. A lot of things that we teach, whenever we get them here, and that way they kind of learn the way that the city wants things done, and not the way that they were, taught somewhere else.
Right.
It works really well for us, so well that other departments, other agencies, I should say, call on our people to get them to come to work for them versus, them staying here with us, because we do that good a job training.
Well, while we're talking about this, talk about some of the openings that you do have and the kinds of folks that you're looking for.
We have most everything that we have is equipment operator, and that varies from driving a truck, driving a tractor, driving one of our sweepers, as well as being able to learn how to run a paver or a milling machine or a mini excavator. We cover everything. And this isn't all about what I do, but also we have openings with our solid waste.
Right.
Those guys, people see them every day. They're shorthanded, and basically what you need for most all of our jobs is a CDL. If you've got a CDL, a Class A or Class B, man, we'd love to get your applications in and get you in for an interview and see what we can do.
And we won't let go of you for 32 years, apparently.
Hey, like I tell people, it's not always it's not always a great day, but it's always a great place.
Sure. Okay, well, talk about real quickly some of the bigger things that you're working on right now.
So again, like I said, we're doing a lot of street work. So over in the Chimney Hill area, we're right now we're doing all of the curb and gutter. We're getting ready to go in there and start paving those streets over there. We're fixing to move our concrete crews across to the Spring Loop area. Spring Loop, Autumn Circle, we're going to basically, those are some 4-foot sidewalks. We're going to change them to 6 foot.
Wow.
We're going to redo all the ADA compliant stuff over there. Some of that's way out of date, so we're going to get all that brought back up to where it needs to be. And then we're working again behind City Hall, so we're working over on Marsteller, doing the same thing, putting all new curb and gutter in. Ashburn, we're fixing to work on Gilcrest, Francis, Kyle, and then just kind of work our way this direction.
Okay. So what have I not asked you about that you want to make sure while you have access to us that you tell us about?
If people would, when we're out doing our jobs, if people would just kind of respect the people that are out there, it doesn't matter if it's us or any of our departments within the city. We're out there trying to do a great job, and when we're having to worry about people not paying attention to what we're doing, it makes it hard for us. So I guess that would be my biggest pitch, for people just to really pay attention and focus on where they're at and what they're doing when they're out there. Yeah,
that's a good point, because we have so many departments represented on the side of the road. Exactly. We've got all kinds of folks in public works, in water, in electric, police, fire. I mean, it just goes on, and they're vulnerable. And we've been able to get a little more safety equipment to kind of protect them. But still, there are a lot of vulnerable men and women just doing what they need to do. And you're right, they don't have time to watch for every passing vehicle.
That's right. If y'all will watch for us, it'll make our jobs a lot easier. We can do a better job at it.
For sure. Hey, thanks for spending some time chatting with me. It's been interesting learning a little more about what you do. Like I said, I've been here for 12 years, and I learned a bunch of stuff today. So thanks a bunch.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And hey, thank you guys for letting us come on and talk about the city of College Station. And that is stuff you don't usually see. How was the audio?
I think it was better.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. We've been trying to identify